Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now this bit is for the parents, guardians and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned.
Good morning and welcome to our rail safety broadcast with Network Rail. Trespass remains a real concern for the railway. Despite the current situation with the pandemic, we are still seeing incidents where youths and in some instances adults are taking unnecessary risks on the tracks. To coincide with the You versus Train campaign, Wales and Western Routes community safety managers at Network Rail have worked closely with partners such as the British Transport Police, train operating companies and railway colleagues to bring you a series of videos containing key safety messages and home-school learning activities. These messages are very important, so please pay close attention and please spread the message as best you can to family and friends to keep them safe too. We will be hearing a STEM lesson from these colleagues and their jobs within the railway network, followed by a series of you versus train stories that you'll be hearing, and to finish off with a mental health video to ensure that you are staying safe in a variety of ways. Now, if you've got any questions throughout this live broadcast today, please leave them in the live chat facility next to the video player, and the team at Network Rail will get back to you as soon as possible. So, to begin our broadcast, we'll be hearing from Elizabeth Matthews, a category manager from Network Rail. Elizabeth will be telling us all about her role at Network Rail, how her STEM role impacts the company, and how she came into the role in the first place. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Working for commercial trains within public sector is a huge privilege and a responsibility. And I'm grateful for having this opportunity. Privilege because you have an opportunity to make a difference to the community you work in and thrive in and live in. And responsibility because as a part of my role, I contribute to spending decisions that my organization makes when it comes to public money and investing public money. Hello, I'm Elizabeth Biju Matthews, and I'm a category manager with Network Rail Infrastructure Limited. Category management as a function nests within contracts and procurement team within Network Rail. During the course of my talk, I would talk a little bit about my role and correlate that to the STEM themes. As you know, Network Rail is partnering with STEM to deliver their vision to young people, to encourage them in their academics and career within the STEM industry. About my role, category management or category strategies is critical to procurements and sourcing exercises that Network Rail makes. So what I really do as a part of my day job is develop strategies which not only takes into account what an organization wants to buy, but also while buying so, taking into account what our social responsibilities are to the community. Majority of these responsibilities are central government targets as well that we try to meet. What I mean by that is, I might be developing a strategy for a whole category of spend, such as office supplies, for instance, or I could be developing a strategy for buying tons and tons of boxes of pencils for the whole organization. But while I do that, I take into account how manufacturing those pencils, for instance, for the organization impacts the environment, what goes into them, and how they might be disposed of. So all of those additional decisions, apart from the exact requirement what the organization has, is also what a strategy includes and takes into account. Strategies are developed, and I do, and the team I come from do for a range of spend areas, such as marketing, the engineering divisions, the human resources department, and so on and so forth. We try to achieve what service, product, and infrastructure the organization needs to put in place to make the passenger journey a reliable and safe one, to also meeting all social values that we can in terms of the supply chain. So we're not just talking about how we buy and how much we buy and what bridges we build, but also how we impact lives of those people who help us put that product service together is also a key part of what I do. STEM themes are a key to human existence, sustenance, and prosperity, and all of that in equal measure. As a part of my role, we achieve those themes by putting innovation, sustainability, encouraging local businesses, and most importantly, and last but not the least, putting safety at the heart of everything we develop as a strategy. So in a way, we deliver the STEM themes as a part of every strategy that we develop. I would encourage young people to look at opportunities within STEM, to look at what academic opportunities there might be, because there are a lot of assumptions that are there around this industry. And I want to be able to communicate that there are those assumptions, there's no ceiling. The roles are not confined to certain genders. There's an opportunity for everyone, irrespective of who you are and where you come from. So I want to try and break those assumptions and say, I'm doing what I can in this space, and so can each one of you. Also, at times, I think a lot of young people think, well, I like the idea and thought of working within the STEM-related industry, but I'm not a technical person. I don't want to be out there on the front line. Or I like to be in the front line, but I might end up in an office. It's either or, actually. It's really up to you. You could be having a technical qualification and still have an office-based job, or you may not have a technical qualification and still be able to work on the front line where you have direct contact with our end customers and passengers. So there are no limits, really. The opportunity is there, and take these talks as an opportunity to understand better how STEM delivers and how it can meet what your preferences are. One of my cousins is a dentist, and he is now working, he's not doing dental practice, but he's working within one of the STEM industries. And that was a big eye-opener for me. And he's able to make a difference to the lives of children from schools and from less privileged backgrounds in terms of dental care. And he also contributes to research and development within the STEM industry. One would have always thought, if you're a dentist, you work in a dental practice, but this is a whole new opportunity. So I found that as a great inspiration, and I thought, well, if that's possible, then I'm sure there are other opportunities within the industry as well. So definitely he was an inspiration. So I grew up in India, so the equivalent of GCSEs, when I got to that stage, I remember I wanted to take up science and then eventually do I had an idea that I would like to go into civil engineering, but the problem was if I didn't get the right scores, then I wouldn't be able to pick up that stream and I'd have to do something else. And then I didn't know what else I could do, so I wasn't sure if it was either that or nothing else within the science stream. So then I dropped the idea of doing science and I moved into commercial studies, and I picked up accountancy as my key subject at graduation, and then went on to do my master's in finance, which I enjoyed. But if you see now my journey, I've ended up in a STEM industry, in a company that's quite heavily engineering based. So my journey has brought me eventually to the sector that I'd want to work in, not exactly the same role, but that's the inspiration I had, and that's how I fulfilled it in the end. I would say one of the things I would repeat is that please don't make gender assumptions. The sky is the limit, and there are plenty of opportunities, whether you want to be in the technical side, frontline, directly working with passengers, or have an office-based job. Good example I could give of that is you could become an architect and still work in an office, or you could become an architect and work on designs and frontline building bridges and refurbishing our infrastructure and what have you. So that's a classic example. We've got a whole sort of an engineering department within the office, and they work out of the office with limited touch with frontline. And similarly, there are architects and engineers on frontline who have less to do with the office. So there are all sorts of opportunities, and we have a good men and women representation in those departments. And then obviously you have soft services like the areas I work in. And so the opportunities are limitless. So this was just Network Rail example, but the opportunity is limitless. The other thing I would say was the apprenticeship programs are really good. They provide a great avenue. You can go across, you have the opportunity to have a hands-on experience in different range of departments, and then you can make a decision private and public sector both offer that opportunity. I personally know someone who picked up the opportunity. To give you an idea, they were a software engineer and then came into Network Rail, worked in multiple departments. One of the last departments they worked was within procurement, and that's what they have opted to pursue a career. And then they work in one of our regional teams now, and have taken up a full-time job. She's very young and she's already decided what she wants to, and I'm sure she'll do very well. So look out for them and take that opportunity. It gives you a great start. That's really about me and my role at Network Rail. If there's anything else you want to know, I'm happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that informative talk on your STEM role. It's incredible to see that even though you've moved away from engineering, it's still found you in the end. If you have any questions for Elizabeth, please leave them in the live chat facility next to the video player, and she will get back to you as soon as possible. Now, the series of videos I'm about to show you will be telling and showing you real people's stories and how what happened to them can really affect not only themselves, but the people around them. Let's take a look.
Oh no! He gives it away! Oh. Is anyone there? Come on, go over! Right, give me a leg up. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
Come on, Tom. Come on.
Oh, go on, Tommy boy.
Come on, Tom.
Come on, Tom.
I'll miss Mum.
This is a beautiful sight.
Dan is free, cuz. Get yourself down here ASAP.
Yo, G, I think I found it.
I'll hear if you soon.
Power's off, safe to approach. He's on the third rail. Extensive third-degree burns.
Hello, can you hear me? Open your eyes if you can hear me.
Hi, sweetheart. My train's been delayed. Kids on the track, apparently. You're going to have to sort your own dinner, I'm afraid. Just give me a text when you get this. Love you.
We never expected that we'd get that phone call.
She made one rash decision and it nearly cost the poor girl her life.
We didn't know what was going on. No one would tell us anything.
For it to actually happen on your station, on your shift.
That day will never leave my mind.
I woke up, thought, oh, it's a nice day, I'm gonna go to the beach today. Me and my friend were on the beach, like having a laugh, having a little drink. I can't fully remember it, but we somehow got back to the station. My friend was on one side of the platform and I was on the other side. I don't know what I was doing on the other side. And I thought the fastest way was to go over the tracks. I ran onto the track just thinking nothing of it. I didn't know there was a third rail that was live. I was electrocuted and I had a cardiac arrest.
I saw Tegan wedged between the running rail and the electric live rail. She was on fire.
The electric had gone in through my left armpit and it had gone across my heart into my right arm. There was 2 men that helped me off the track, and the lady, and she gave me CPR.
She was pumping her chest so hard, and the smell of burning flesh. She was completely black.
I wasn't alive for 7 minutes. So the paramedics came, they airlifted me, and I spent 5 months in hospital. I spent 2 months in intensive care.
She was in an induced coma. She was in and out of surgery. We just didn't know what injuries she was going to have, like lifelong injuries.
I think intensive care was probably one of the hardest things I've ever been through.
She learnt how to walk again, how to eat. She couldn't really talk, she was just always smiling. She had to learn how to move her fingers, and she had to learn to do everything with her left hand.
Hi Tegan, love you, from LJ.
This is a bear that I got when I was in intensive care. My little brother LJ, he'd always come up to the hospital. Every time I was upset, it would remind me of him.
Her long-term injuries are just learning to move her fingers again, and try and straighten her arm, because she has loads of scarring under her arm.
I had to have so much physio to actually get my arm, and now I can just fully move it up.
She had to have a whole new nerve put into her arm.
Like my leg, so I've got quite a bit of a dent in there now. I've got 10% burns. They were 3rd-degree burns where I had to have skin grafts all over.
So yeah, she's definitely lucky to be here.
The accident has left me to deal with the really severe burns and skin grafts all over my body.
She covers a lot up that she's not bothered by her scars, but she has times where she does get down.
I feel like I won't be able to show my body again because of my scars, and I feel like I'll get judged, and I don't really want to be judged because people can be quite nasty about things. Just always think that no one was ever gonna love me again, like how they did before. And I'd always think I'm never gonna be like the old me again. Sorry. The way everyone helped me has made me realise that in the future I need to help other people as well. I'm gonna be a psychologist for burns because I can put myself in their shoes and help them out. When I went back to the train station and I met John for the first time, it was so strange.
I admire you for coming down and do this. It must have been horrendous, but you're such a brave young woman.
It seemed like I meant so much to a stranger.
Seeing her today has made me a happy guy. She is one remarkable young woman.
They saved my life, and without them I wouldn't even be here.
I'm so happy that I've seen you today. We're truly blessed.
I want to get the message out that there's dangers out there. You need to care for yourself and know that there's consequences for the actions that you do take.
Because it doesn't just impact you. One small thought can save all the pain that you can put yourself and your family through.
I want people to learn from my mistake, and I also want everyone to be aware and be safe.
My name's Annette, and I'm a nurse, but it's been a long time since I've worked in a hospital and looked after patients in the NHS. I work for Network Rail now, and my job is to support the health and well-being of the workforce in the area that I cover. Mental health is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because obviously this times of COVID is really, really worrying. And actually, it's okay for us to be a little bit worried, a bit anxious, especially because things are changing all the time. We don't have any clear advice or plans. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We don't know when things are going to return to normal, but they will improve. Honestly, they will. And we're starting to see bits changing. So a little bit of anxiety and worry actually is quite good for us. We actually need a little bit of stress. It keeps us safe, keeps us on guard, and it's a good thing. But what isn't good is when you start worrying nearly all the time. The worry and the anxiety is taking up a lot of your day, or actually you begin to feel unwell. Anxiety can affect your sleep, your appetite, your motivation. You can't be bothered to do things that you would normally do. You just can't be bothered to do it. And actually you can start getting physical symptoms as well. Headaches, start feeling sick, just generally all achy and painy. And that's some of the side effects, the signs of anxiety and stress and worry. So the trick is to fool your brain, distract it from the loads and loads of anxiety and worry. So there's lots of things that you can do to try and trick your brain, fool it and distract it. One of the things is there's a lot of things are out of your control. You can't do anything about them. You can't change them. You can't do anything to make it better. So the thing is don't invest any time. Don't use your brain to invest in time for these things. You might hear people talking about being in the moment. And that's really is what's gone in the past. We can learn from. We can be better, we can improve things. But the future, all of us, adults, young people, we've got a thing where we sometimes make things worse. We have mountains out of molehills. We think that it's going to be far worse, and actually when it ever happens, it isn't. So to think about today and invest a lot of time in today, a lot of brain time in today is the best way. The past is gone, the future's coming, but we can't second guess it. So some of the things that you can't control the actions of people, what people do, how they behave. But what you can do is behave in a way that's positive towards them. Be kind, think about them. Other things that we can do, I know I'm a bit old and I've got grandchildren, and I've pulled a few faces when I see how much time they spend on their phones or their iPads or their laptops. But actually, we know now that that's actually quite a good thing. Always be safe with whoever that you're talking to, communicating with, on any of these things, because there are some people out there that, are not really good. So your friends, your family, secure sites, really, really good. So playing games, for all that I've moaned at my grandson, is actually good. It distracts your brain. It gets you thinking about other things. We do a lot of things, on the internet, but actually write a letter, send a card. Your nan, your aunt, even a mate might actually like something in writing rather than doing things all electronically and wizardry, gadgety things that, certainly I'm not used to. Take care with your social media. Things, TV, on the computers, the papers and things, is listening to all of the sad things that are going on and happening around the world. That will increase your worry and your anxiety. Again, you can't do much about that. You can't change those sorts of things. So don't invest brain time in worrying about the things that are going on. By all means, read a little bit, listen to things, but pick your sites. Maybe just pick one site. So the BBC is a good site, and just think about the time, limit what you're doing and how often you're checking up on things and listening to what's going on.
Thank you, Annette, for telling us all about how important mental health really is in these times and the help and advice that is available. No one is really alone, so please reach out and speak to someone, and please pass on that message to your family and friends. If you've got any questions for Elizabeth and Annette, please leave them in the live chat facility next to the video player, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Well, that's all for our Rail Safety Talk today. Thank you to all the volunteers that took part in the Welsh Rail Safety videos from Network Rail, British Transport Police and train operating companies. Thank you to you for watching, and please keep an eye out for more from Learn Live and Network Rail in the future. Bye for now, and stay safe.